I'm Rhett.
And I'm Link.
And you're watching Behind the Brand
with Brian Elliott.
Nice. Hey, I'm Brian Elliott. Welcome to another edition of Behind the Brand. Today I'm here in the amazing Good Mythical Morning studios with the beautiful, can I say, Rhett and Link.
Please say that.
Guys, thanks for having us to your amazing studio space. This is legendary.
Thanks for being here.
Welcome.
Well, it's my pleasure.
Are you comfortable?
We talked about this off on camera. I would have liked an ottoman, but that's okay.
Hey, we offered an ottoman. We have a broken one that you could use.
Can we talk about the F word? Can we talk about fear?
Yeah.
Can we talk about failure?
Yeah.
And let's get real for a minute. Like, because I think a lot of people who start something end up getting stuck, in the failure or the fear of, right? Can you guys think about some of the mistakes that you've made in order to get it right? This hindsight's 20/20. But when you're in it, it's difficult, right? The struggle is real, as they say.
Yeah, I mean, we operate, we get better with every year that goes by, but we operate out of fear a lot. I mean, again.
So how do you deal with that?
I think that, even though we've got something that really works, the number of views and the number of sponsors that we're working with and the number of opportunities that we have continue to increase, we still, the reason that I look at those comments every morning is because I'm less looking to see if it succeeded and more looking to see if it failed, right? And I think that, I don't know, I think it's just maturity is part of it. It's just continue to understand that none of that's really important. What's the worst that could happen? Like literally, like when you think about what's the worst that could happen? Like if all of this completely just went under, the whole business model quit working, nobody was putting money in this anymore. Like what's the worst that could happen? Like we become homeless, we're living in a van. It's like, okay, homeless living in a van.
Same van or two different vans?
Two different vans.
Good.
We could probably afford two different vans. Like really, how bad would that be, right? We'd probably turn it into something. We'd make something out of that. So I think if you just take something to the worst possible scenario,
and of course focus on it.
There's a lot more like realistic iterations between here and a van, but all those places, as you fall down the ladder, it's like really none of them are really that bad.
Like an RV,
relatively speaking. When we just look at everybody who's experienced everything in history, it's like okay, it's not going to get that bad. Don't get too worried about any of this.
You think it's all manufactured? Do you think we put up these walls, these obstacles? I find myself doing that a lot. Like I'm like most of the time my own worst enemy. I can't get out of my own way sometimes.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. Like if I would just breathe or see it through or stay the course or maybe not even worry about it. I don't even read the YouTube comments anymore just because I can't.
Yeah.
It hasn't made me any better.
Right.
And I don't know. And sometimes I also think I battle with, or at least I used to battle more with shame. I read this great book by Brene Brown, one of my favorite authors. And Brene is this PhD. She had this incredible TED Talk. And she talks about the difference between guilt and shame. And like she says, guilt is I feel bad and shame is I am bad. Right? When people try to shame you like, hey, Link, this thing's not working, when are you going to get a real job? And sometimes that comes from your family or, if you're married, it comes from your wife. But you're always kind of battling a peanut gallery, whether it's outside or inside your own mind. Like, oof, this thing is not working. I'm putting out this great content for years and I've only got this many subs, or I'm doing this thing and it's just, ooh, when am I going to get traction? You guys ever deal with that pushback?
I think you've got to. Again, we benefit so much from having each other that I think we protect each other from going into that downward spiral of, beating myself up. But I also see people who they keep making the same stuff for years and it's just not working, and it's like, well, you got to have someone who you can trust, who's not going to be a jerk but be honest who cares about your well-being, who you respect their opinions in this particular field, who's then going to tell you, well, maybe you should redirect, try something new. So I mean, there's a balance there, but
I think the biggest thing is that everyone, I mean, it's just human nature to find your value in what other people think of you, right? And to believe that you are what people perceive about you. And when you're in the entertainment business, that's all you have is what people think about you, right? And when you're on YouTube, that's really all you have, because the whole system is based on this feedback, this very immediate and constant feedback. So I think that when you begin to believe that your value is actually based in those comments and those people's perception and the number of views, you're going to be emotionally in a very, very bad place. And I think that we had the benefit of all this happened when we were already like 29, 30 years old, married with children, had kind of lived some life. But you see this happening with teenagers who are still developing as a person, their brain is still developing, and now they're already dealing with just the social things that happen where you begin to find your value in other people's perception, and then you become famous. And I think one of the reasons that a lot of people might consider some younger YouTubers just intolerable is because they are intolerable. Because they are completely caught up in what they believe that they are the thing that they have projected to people. They will learn one day that they are not that, and it will be a very difficult lesson. But I think that a big thing for us is just, well, we'd already kind of developed. But even still, it's still a very difficult thing to do, to separate yourself from even your perception of yourself. Separate yourself from that. Step back, keep stepping back and saying, that's not who I am, that's not where my value is found.
It's a good lesson, Give the applause or the lack thereof the same value.
Yeah, right.
Maybe you are not your work. You are not your YouTube video. You are not your Instagram post. Maybe that's the lesson.
Yeah, 100%.
So what you're saying is I taught you something today.
thank you. This has been really helpful.
I'm really glad that I came today. Actually, it's a good thing I did. All right, so what ground haven't we covered? That might be a good place to finish this thing up. What haven't we covered, Mr. PR guy, that we want to cover? Since we can't talk about the book, I'm not bitter about that. It's no big deal to me.
I wish I knew there was a book.
Yeah. We can talk about the...
it's more like an ebook, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's not really a book.
And we have a newsletter. We just launched a newsletter.
We did.
I'm all over that.
The Mythical Monthly will... we've announced it. It will come out soon, or will have come out by the time this is up. But it seemed a little bit... In our mind, it was a little bit backwards thing. It's like newsletter. That's like 15 years ago to send an email to people. But when you start realizing that, we have things that we want to say that don't necessarily fit in the genre of content that we've been developing, and there might be people who want that little extra taste of mythicality, and as we continue to define what that is, it just seemed like a natural step. So we're going to start doing that. People can find things that we're working on, those projects that are coming down the pipe later on this year.
Can you
my
text
smoothie recipe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Can you text it to me?
Yeah.
You can text it?
I will dictate it. Link will dictate it. I'll text it directly to you.
There's an email.
You can just enter your email.
It's via email.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to enter in the email. Do you still use that?
Yeah, I'm more of an SMS guy, though.
Okay.
For those of you who aren't, you can go to rhettlink.com/mythicalmonthly. Isn't that it?
Yeah.
Yeah. If not, we'll make that redirect to what it actually is.
I feel like we need to end like on a song or something. Like we need to go fade to black like on some sort of musical.
There's a lot of footage of us singing on the internet.
He doesn't want to sing. Can you tell? I'm sorry.
Oh, but you do? Oh, go ahead. Sing.
What do you want me to sing?
You can sing a Travis Tritt song. Can we clear that?
I don't know if they're going to clear that.